On the edge of the forest, far from the noise of civilization, stood an old chapel. Its stone walls, overgrown with ivy, seemed to blend into nature, and the bell tower, long devoid of a bell, rose silently above the trees. The locals avoided the place, telling stories of strange lights that sometimes appeared in the windows and of soft singing that could be heard from the chapel at night. No one knew who had built it or why it had been abandoned, but everyone felt that the place held some kind of secret. One autumn day, a young photographer named Jake arrived in the nearby village. He was traveling across the country in search of unique locations for his new photo exhibition. Hearing the stories about the chapel, Jake decided it was the perfect subject for his work. Despite the warnings from the locals, he grabbed his camera and headed into the forest. The chapel greeted him with silence and the smell of decaying leaves. Jake cautiously approached the entrance, looking around. The door was half destroyed, and he easily stepped inside. The interior was gloomy, dusty pews, broken stained glass windows, and an old book lying on the altar. Jake felt that this place held some kind of story. He began taking photos, trying to capture every detail. Suddenly, his attention was drawn to a strange inscription on the wall: "Seek and you shall find." Jake decided to examine the chapel more carefully. In the corner, he noticed a hatch leading to the basement. With a flashlight in hand, he descended. The basement was small, but it contained strange objects: old candles, scraps of fabric, and another book, this one locked. Jake found a key nearby and opened it. Inside were writings in Latin that he couldn't understand, but among the pages, he discovered a map with a mark somewhere in the forest. Jake decided to follow the clues. He left the chapel and headed deeper into the forest, following the directions on the map. After some time, he found an old stone slab partially buried under the earth. Jake began to dig and soon uncovered a small metal box. Inside were letters and photographs telling the story of a family that had once lived in the area. It turned out that the chapel had been built many years ago by a local priest who had tried to protect his family from a curse. But something had gone wrong and the family had disappeared. Jake realized that the spirits of the family still wandered these lands, unable to find peace. He returned to the chapel and decided to perform a small ritual to help the souls find rest. He lit candles, said a prayer, and asked the spirits to find their way to the light. Suddenly, the air in the chapel grew warmer, and Jake felt the tension dissipate. He knew he had done all he could. The next day, Jake left the village, taking with him not only the photographs, but also the memory of how he had helped the souls find peace. The chapel remained standing on the edge of the forest, but now it was just part of the landscape, free of secrets and ghosts.